Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the beautiful and complex topic of the Lunar New Year, and we're going to make it super clear and engaging for you. So, you know how we all watch the ball drop on January 1st, right? Well, it turns out that's not the only New Year's party. There's this other massive celebration that millions and millions of people get into. We're talking huge festivals, ancient traditions, and, believe it or not, one of the biggest human migrations on the entire planet. All right, so here's our game plan. We'll start with why there are two celebrations in the first place, then jump into the wild story of the zodiac. After that, we'll figure out what your animal is, cover the really important traditions, and finally, see how this ancient holiday is adapting to the modern world. Let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, why two different New Year's days? Well, it really just boils down to two totally different ways of keeping track of time. On one hand, you've got the Gregorian calendar. That's the one most of us use every day. It's all about the sun, which is why January 1st is always, well, January 1st. But the Lunar New Year? That's a whole different ballgame. It follows a lunisolar calendar, which means it's tracking the moon's phases. And because the moon's cycle isn't perfectly synced up, the date for the New Year actually floats around a bit each year. You'll also hear it called the Spring Festival or Chunjie. And this isn't just a one-and-done thing. Oh no, it's a huge 15-day festival. For many Asian cultures, it's basically the most important holiday of the entire year, and it all wraps up with the gorgeous Lantern Festival. And while you might hear it called Chinese New Year a lot, it's actually a massive event all across East and Southeast Asia. In Vietnam, for example, it's called Tet. And you'll find unique local celebrations in places like South Korea, the Philippines, and of course, in communities all over the globe. Okay, so we've got the when down. Now let's get to the really fun part, the what. I'm talking about those famous zodiac animals. So the story goes that the Jade Emperor, who's a pretty big deal in Chinese mythology, decided he needed a good system for people to measure time. So what does he do? He sets up a great race across a river. He told all the animals that the first 12 to make it to the other side would get a year named in their honor. And that's how we got the zodiac cycle we know today, from the super clever rat who hitched a ride on the ox, all the way to the diligent pig who strolled in at the very end. Now, obviously, the Great Race is a myth, but the tradition itself is ancient. We're talking really ancient. There's actual historical evidence of this 12-animal zodiac that goes back more than 2,000 years to China's Qin dynasty. Okay, this next part is where things get personal. This is where you can find your own connection to this amazing tradition. So, unlike the Western zodiac that's all about what month you were born in, the Chinese zodiac is based on a 12-year cycle. Every year gets its own animal, and the belief is that if you're born in that year, you kind of share some of that animal's key personality traits. All right, this is the fun part. Go ahead and find your birth year on this chart and see what animal you are. So what'd you get? An ambitious dragon, a loyal dog, or maybe a super diligent ox? It's a really cool piece of cultural identity for so many people. So besides the zodiac, what are the actual rituals that make the Lunar New Year what it is? Well, it's really all about clearing out the old year and welcoming the new one with as much good luck as you can possibly get. The absolute number one thing is a family reunion. That's a huge deal. But then you have all these other traditions, like giving red envelopes or hongbao, stuffed with money for good luck. And of course, setting off tons of firecrackers to scare away a legendary monster called Neon and any other bad vibes hanging around.
And yep, there are definitely some superstitions to follow. Wearing red is a must for good luck, but you'll want to avoid wearing black or white because those colors are tied to funerals. Oh, and here's a big one. Whatever you do, do not clean your house on New Year's Day. You might literally sweep away all that good fortune you just brought in.
Okay, let's fast forward to the 21st century and see how this ancient holiday is changing. The traditions are still incredibly strong, but modern life is definitely adding some new twists. Traditionally, this holiday has always meant one thing. You go home. This causes something called Chun Yun, the Spring Festival travel rush. Billions of trips are made in just a few weeks. It is, no joke, the largest human migration on the planet every single year. But for some younger folks, those big family gatherings can be, well, a little intense. So a new trend is emerging where some people actually travel away from home for the holiday, partly to dodge those awkward questions about when they're getting married or having kids. And this isn't just a feeling. You can actually see it in the numbers. There was a huge jump in overseas travel during the holiday in the years just before the pandemic. That's a pretty clear signal that the way people celebrate is starting to shift. But, and this is a big but, it doesn't mean family is becoming less important. Not at all. As the data shows, the vast majority of people traveling are still doing it with their families. They're just taking the family reunion on the road, exploring new places together. At the end of the day, culture is never stuck in one place. It's always moving and changing. Seeing a thousands-year-old tradition like this adapt to modern life really makes you wonder, right? How will future generations honor the past while creating their own new ways to celebrate? It's a pretty fascinating question to think about.